Sonic X, Episode 48, surprisingly continues where the last episode left off. Topaz is insulted because they couldn't destroy Eggman's ship because she was held hostage there, since being a female character in the government in anime means that being kidnapped is all she's good for. Seriously, I think the only time she ever did anything useful was when she damaged the teeth of a shark in the comic. She's Princess Peach. It's obvious these government guys are intentionally being portrayed as douchebags, and that's a shame because if you look past the biased portrayal, they're kind of right. They should care more about stopping Eggman. Eggman's much more of a threat to the world. If Eggman was stopped, that'd be much better than losing a few hostages. The archaeologist with them brings out a Chaos Emerald, which interests Rouge. It's good to have character moments, like, only this character would react this way. And Volcanic gets mad at the robot sidekicks for doubting Eggman, and acts like a brat. Eggman's Eggmobile gets some wheels for itself in the volcano, and Tails in his plane decides to go check out the volcano. He flies into the volcano with Sonic, Knuckles, and Rouge standing on the plane's wings, even though Rouge can fly. I wonder if it's unrealistic for them to not die of the convection. Sonic spin dashes into the ground to make a tunnel, but Knuckles tells him that if he doesn't stop digging, the ceiling will bury his friends. Translation: they're causing him problems just by being there. I hope they do something useful to justify bringing them along. They wander in the dark and then find a place with fluorescent green moss, and Knuckles says he knows that because he's a treasure hunter who sees all kinds of stuff. But he's not a treasure hunter, he's supposed to be guarding the emerald. That was always stupid and confused of the games because the only treasure he ever hunted was the Master Emerald because he's a guardian. You can't be a treasure hunter and a guardian. At that point, you need to establish that Tails built a giant robot to guard the emeralds so he can treasure hunt. And immediately the heroes walk away from him when he starts showing any confidence in himself at all. That's not good for him. The heroes all slip and fall because the rocky wall was slippery. Knuckles says they have to go swim, and while the bat can rot for all he cares, he's going to make Sonic come with him, and Rouge goes with them because she doesn't want him to go on without her. Rouge says she hears a waterfall, and Sonic hopes it's a way out. Knuckles says it's a dead end, and Rouge starts flying and lets down a vine rope for Sonic to climb. So she was necessary for the plot. Good. Sonic was justified in letting her come along. Knuckles gets shovel claws out of nowhere and plans to dig them out. This is why he shouldn't be established as needing the shovel claws to dig. The writer wrote himself into a corner. He digs in the wall and reveals some light, and surprisingly, they see some ancient ruins. And the archaeologist says it's an underground civilization with artificial sunlight on realistic Earth. He says that some terrible creatures underground scared people away and destroyed stuff there. This is so confusing. This is why this should have taken place on Mobius. It's just, I would be invested in this world building, but it's too silly. It's Earth, so you completely lost me and I can't take it seriously. Knuckles says he can't stand Rouge, and I wonder why people ship the two when he clearly hates her. That's a divorce waiting to happen. How is terrible chemistry good chemistry? Someone even lampshades that they're like oil and vinegar or something. I don't know why people think this show ships the two when it seems more dedicated to insulting the ship at every chance it gets. The archaeologist says the seismic readings will tell him how much internal pressure is building up inside the volcano. The robot sidekicks spot a big cherry, and one stands on top of the other, and they get threatened by a giant bug. How is this on Earth? If it's not supposed to be the exact same as our Earth, then don't call it Earth. Call it Terra. Chris throws a pebble at the giant moth's eye, thinking he can distract it, when really he just caused it to chase him at the same time as the other robots. I guess the reason he wants to help the evil robots is because the bug might pose a threat to the heroes otherwise, but honestly it was just a dumb excuse to get himself kidnapped by Eggman. The robots panic because the cave might collapse. How does the cave still have a functional fake sky and sunshine when there's apparently no one alive in it? And it's been that way for thousands of years. Again, this made more sense in Archie because they had the Super Emeralds power the fake atmosphere. The archaeologist says the volcano is going to erupt and the heroes are in great danger. So he warns them to forget about Eggman and take off right away. Sonic rushes off to find Chris, and Knuckles says they should come up with a plan first. It's good that Knuckles said that. Rouge flies in the sky and says she'll search for Chris, and tells Knuckles to keep Eggman from blowing up the hotspot. Chris says he's glad he tried to help Eggman's evil robot sidekicks. Why? And this won't convince them to leave Eggman right away, so what's the point? Eggman says he's close to the hotspot and kicks them away. Rouge is dazzled at discovering a pile of jewels. Not that she'd be able to escape with all of them anyways. For her, failure is the only option, which really seems spiteful. I know, being a jewel thief is bad, so we can't let her ever succeed in anything. But you need to have your villains earn victories. Eggman plans to set off a blast that cause a chain reaction and erupt every volcano, leading to worldwide chaos, and he thinks he can build his empire on the world's ashes. This is so dumb of him. Who does he even plan to rule over? Who would survive? You know, a lot of the world doesn't exist close to volcanoes, actually. So some people will be just fine. So it's not the world's ashes. The structure Bokun's on collapses, and a giant robot rises up from beneath him, and he screams for help and runs away. He warns Eggman, but he's unable to really tell him what's going on in his hysteria. Sonic really shouldn't bother fighting the giant robot that's trying to kill Eggman. Rouge saves Chris, and the robots worry about the detonator and take off. They get upset because they're stranded, and Rouge warns them and Chris that the whole cave's gonna fill up with lava. Eggman's robots say they can help Chris, and Chris naturally asks what they can do. They link up, and their internal circuitry transforms, and they form into a giant mecha giant. It's so ridiculous that they didn't do this against Sonic earlier. It turns out this isn't the case though. They're just dreaming about the mecha transformation because God forbid they ever be useful and badass as main characters. So they get sent away in pieces instead. At least that makes more logical sense than Eggman never using them to fight Sonic then, if they're able to do that. Sonic finishes at the giant robot and he's sent away the second time, and he saves Chris from being burned by its fire breath. Knuckles and Sonic attack the robot, and Sonic uses the detonator to destroy it because Chris gave it to him. This actually makes sense as a way to defeat a robot in one hit. But fortunately it was attacked more than once this time. It really shows how overpowered the main character is when almost every time they do get to attack a robot, it dies in one hit like it's just a regular badnik, by the way. Even if it's giant. Rouge reveals that she's found a Chaos Emerald, and the archaeologist takes it and says it's an artifact from the Kingdom of Eurasia, and he steals it from Rouge and says he'll put it in a museum because Rouge is never allowed to keep even one gem for herself. Not even one! The writers really must have hated her. The heroes need the emeralds to get back home. Why aren't they objecting to this? Well, they could always get it back from him when they need it. And the robots say they pulled themselves together just in time to escape the volcano. I wish we saw that. And Chuck says they could join their team, and we're mocked as the audience because the robots agree because they're sick of Eggman overworking them. I say we're being mocked, rather than saying it's brilliant, because there's no way they'd ever let these robots permanently stay with the heroes. They wouldn't be in their status quo positions. And even if they did stick with the heroes, they wouldn't do anything anyways. So we're going to be mocked the minute they come back to Eggman because it's not going to make any logical sense and only happen for a meta reason. I'm calling it right now. When they come back to Eggman, it's going to be extremely stupid that they did it. This episode was about Eggman being foiled in his plan to erupt every volcano in the world in an underground civilization with a somehow still functioning artificial sky and plant area. He got foiled because a still surviving ancient robot attacked the heroes. How did it still survive all this time instead of running out of electricity? Fake sunshine solar power? It's so dumb. Once again, Archie did this better. Go figure, because it's much more about world building. Where's the Super Emeralds here? At least the action scene lasted a kind of decent amount of hits with the heroes this time, and it got blown up by a detonator instead of spin dash, which makes more sense. And it was nice that Chris was good enough to try to save the robot sidekicks who actually weren't that evil, and they decided to try to join the heroes for it.